Hey, Jeannie, who's our guest on the Nerd Show today?
Today we have Pat Knight from Synapse. Hey, Pat.
Oh,
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Bruce and Jeannie. Hi, everybody.
Great to
Thanks.
see you.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks for being here. It's really cool that we're here at the studio and you're on your home turf, and so you can really feel comfortable telling us what you really think, like outside the walls of Synapse, out in the world. Just
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, so what are we talking about today?
So today, I'm hoping that we can talk about premiums on electric bills, which sounds like a really boring topic, but I found that it tends to get people pretty fired up.
Okay. Are these bills in Massachusetts?
So these are electric bills in Massachusetts, but this is a problem that exists for consumers all across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states.
Okay. So we all know electric prices are high. When you say the problem, how would you define the problem?
Sure. So every electric bill has two parts. The first part is supply, and the second part is delivery. And the delivery part of the bill is the part that has to do with the poles and wires and getting electricity from power plants to people's houses. It's also where a lot of policy programs, like programs for solar, programs for energy efficiency, those kind of programs get put. And that tends to be where a lot of the focus is on affordability issues in Massachusetts and in other states too. But the thing that I'm really focused on is the supply part. It's the other half of the bill. And this is the part of the bill that has to do with making electricity and the markets that are associated with it. And research that I started back last September, and I've been continuing it since then. We released a report back in January of this year. What we've been finding is that the amount of money that customers are charged is far more than the amount of money that it takes to actually make the electricity in the first place. So the name of our report is called Overcharged, and I think that basically sums it up. People are paying too much for the supply portion of their electricity.
So you're saying in the wholesale, the supply price, customers should pay the cost plus some reasonable adders, and what they're seeing are markups that are unreasonable.
Yeah, that's the idea. So when the markets were restructured here in Massachusetts and in other states in the late 90s, the idea was that utilities were not allowed to own power plants anymore and would have to start buying electricity from third-party competitive suppliers. And these suppliers have their own contracts. They purchase spot prices on the market. They have different financial instruments on their side, but then they package these costs and resell it to the utilities. And the utilities essentially pick the lowest price and then pass that on to consumers. But the problem is that there's no one really taking a look and saying, is this actually, yes, this could be the lowest price of all of the options that we were given, but is it really actually the lowest price that is possible for consumers?
Is it even reasonable?
Sure.
So is that a whole new industry then in between the utility and the customer in a way?
Yeah, it's a completely different set of entities, I think, than people who are working in the electricity, at least on the delivery side or the policy side, tend to be thinking about. I think generally the idea is that there are a large number of these competitive suppliers, and they're all duking it out to try to get the lowest possible prices to win the contracts that then get passed along.
Right. Markets work that way.
Right. That's the idea.
So competitive markets work that way, and
right.
This may have some problems.
Right. So one challenge is that a lot of the data is hidden. We don't really know a lot about who these competitive suppliers are, or how they're, which ones are winning or what kind of market share they have. But we can infer who the competitors are by looking at certain filings and looking at how they respond to other market submissions, essentially. And what we can infer there is there's essentially four large competitive suppliers in Massachusetts and are largely active in other states. So it's not like there's 10, it's not like there's 100. It's basically four large multi-billion-dollar corporations that are essentially trying to duke it out and get the lowest price.
So residential customers, you're saying they're outraged, or they're overcharged. They could be outraged because they're getting bills that contain costs, monthly bill you have to pay, right? And it's got costs in there that you don't even know what that's really going to. and and is it reasonable? And you took a look, and it seems like it's
Yeah.
how much money are we talking about?
Right. So we see that a lot in when we review information that residential customers say about their electricity bills. Like, there's a lot of different things. We don't really understand any of these things. We don't know why we're paying so much for any of them. This is especially a problem because it's actually nested within the generation services charge on people's bills. Like, you don't even see it as a specific item that's called out. And our analysis shows that over the past 10 years, this has been a cost of $22 per month per customer. So that's a ton of money, especially considering that the average customer's electric bill over this time period has been about $150. So it's like 8% of your bill is going to these premiums. And so again, like, I want to emphasize that, like, there is a reason that these premiums exist on paper. The idea is that by paying a little bit more for electricity, we can get more stable pricing. But what we've theorized and what we've seen happen in other states too is this idea that you can get that hedging value, price stability value, without necessarily paying through the nose like we are in Massachusetts.
So, did you bring a graph?
I sure did. I brought so many graphs. So
Let's see 'em.
I think the one that I want to talk about is this chart that we've put together that is like really just a basic look at what the different costs, component costs were for electricity supply in 2024. So this has the cost of energy. It's got the cost of renewable portfolio standards. So that's the clean energy programs here in Massachusetts. It's got the cost of capacity, which is essentially saying, want to make sure that we have enough power plants available to operate on the peakiest, the worst weather days of the year. And then there's a small line item for like miscellaneous charges. All these things tally up to what we call the market cost of supply. That's like, if you could guess the price exactly, like that's what the price of electricity ought to be. But then we have this, we observe this other premium tacked onto it that's increasing costs to that much higher level. So it basically brings costs from about 11 cents per kWh to 16 cents per kWh, which is quite an increase when you think about it in percentage terms.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's only a nickel, but it's applied to all these kilowatt hours for every customer, over time.
It's only a nickel, but if everybody uses like 600 kilowatt hours per month, it really adds up.
And is this for the customers in Massachusetts specifically, or who's paying this?
Yeah, so we've already taken a deeper look at residential basic service customers in Massachusetts. We haven't quantified the values for customers in other states, but customers in most other states in New England, except for Vermont, are likely subject to this. Customers in other states like Ohio and Maryland and Delaware, many other states, they're also probably subject to the same principles that are at play here. We mostly looked at basic service customers, but here in Massachusetts, actually a large number of customers are on other types of service as well, either municipal aggregation, or sometimes it's called community choice aggregation. Some customers are on retail choice, so that's where they're going off and saying, to heck with basic service, we're going to find the lowest. I'm going to find the lowest supply price for myself. But we have pretty strong indications that both of those other types of customers are also being impacted by this principle, and so are also likely paying too much for the supply portion of their bill.
So at a time when there's a lot of attention on affordability and energy prices, and there's I feel like people are talking about the distribution part of the bill that you mentioned, and there's like this wholesale market thing going on, and are the wholesale markets broken, or what can we do to fix that? But this doesn't seem to get that much attention. This particular piece, this nickel.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of reasons for that. I think the biggest reason is just that. The way that the structures are set up in Massachusetts and the other states, it's sort of assumed that the markets are taking care of it, that there is least cost procurement happening, and that, things are expensive, but this is as cheap as they could possibly get. And I just believe that the supply portion of the bill just hasn't been scrutinized in the same way many of the other parts of the bill are. In a lot of ways, all the different delivery components, like, they each have their own sort of avenue to be scrutinized, whether it's an energy efficiency charge that like has its own proceeding, or transmission costs, which often have their own proceedings in front of the DPU or other entities. But this one just really
Someone's
doesn't.
paying attention,
Yeah,
but not,
right.
not to this so much.
Yeah.
It's really a tough lesson to swallow also, because for those of us who were around in the 90s and maybe even worked on restructuring, the one of the benefits that was touted when all that was happening is competition, lower prices to retail customers. And so to say in the last 10 years, I don't know, you have a figure here, is it 2.4 billion? I don't have my glasses on. 3.4.
It's 3.4 billion.
Sorry. And that's just in the last 10-year period, and that's just for basic service customers. So
Just for residential basic service
Okay.
customers, even it keeps blowing up the more you think about it.
right. So we could say we created a monster if we, I worked on that order in 1997, I think. And I was a puny, analyst. So for the people who, maybe wanted to do better or maybe sold a certain expectation, that's what it created it. Not to say that vertically integrated is all 100% better, but I mean, for the people who could pay attention to this and could do something about it, I think there's an incentive. I don't know. It's a bad feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I think my lesson is that like policy should be revisited on a regular basis. Like 30 years is too long to just let the train keep going. And one of the interesting things is, one interesting thing is the degree to which most states really aren't doing anything about this. But the other interesting thing is that there are states that are doing things. So for example, in Illinois, partially in response to this, there's a separate agency that's set up. It's like a third party semi-governmental agency that's set up to procure power on behalf of the utilities, on behalf of the ratepayers, and really work in ratepayers' best interests. And like that's a model that we can learn from. Another model is just 50 miles away in New Hampshire. Their commission recently approved an order to redo slightly the way that basic service is procured, with an eye towards lowering these premiums. So I think part of the lesson is like we should revisit policies and make sure that they're actually working as intended. But the other lesson is like there actually are like very, very much doable policy actions that that policymakers can take in Massachusetts and other states to decrease these premiums. It's not all like, oh no, we dug ourselves this hole and we have no way to get out. It's like, here's a ladder, like just put it against the wall and climb up out of the hole.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not necessary to undo all of the restructuring and deregulation and things that happen. It's more the possibility, but it's more the solution. Near-term solution would be more just let's take a look and do some of these things that other states are doing.
Yeah, do things differently. It's like I said, it's been 30 years. It's probably worth taking a look at and seeing if it works or if it could work better.
Yeah. So in Illinois, does that industry of in-between suppliers not exist because they have the Illinois agency?
No, what's really interesting there is otherwise it looks a lot like Massachusetts. So Illinois still has community choice aggregation. It still has competitive suppliers. The real difference is that the agency has really two differences. Number one is like one of their reasons for being is to really buy the like actual honest to God lowest cost prices for supply for consumers. It's not like a utility pass through where the utility's not making any money on it. They can just pass it through and don't really have to worry about it.
Going through the motions,
Exactly.
checking the boxes.
Right. So that's one of them. The other piece is that in Illinois, the agency there has a lot of flexibility in the types of supply it buys. It can buy some on the spot market. It can buy some power that lasts many months. It can buy some power that lasts just a few months. Here in Massachusetts, we have an extremely rigid like legislated rules for buying supply. And I think that doesn't do us any favors either, because it means that even if somebody were to try to act in the best interest of consumers, they can really only just buy like one type of product instead of buying, some short term, some long term, some medium term. There's just it's like not allowed to be able to do that in Massachusetts today.
Are people trying to change the legislation?
As far as I know, yeah, I mean, there's been some efforts, but nothing yet.
So is there any interesting research out there that you found during this process?
There's an academic in Ohio whose name escapes me at the moment, but I'll send it to you both so you can mention his name. Put it
We
on,
can,
put it on the
we
bottom
can
of
link
the,
to that.
of the podcast.
We can put a link to that, yeah.
Who's done a lot of looking at different metrics for competitive markets, and the idea there is that generally you need at least six different parties in order to be considered at least a competitive market. And for the situation in Massachusetts and other states where it really seems like there's probably just 4 major entities bidding on most of these procurements, it's probably not enough to actually get competition.
Okay.
Hey, Pat, you mentioned that there are four companies dominating this supplier niche. Who are they?
It's Constellation, NextEra, Dynogy, and NRG.
Do you want to tell people to read our report?
I think that's a great idea. So we've got a very long, very detailed, very fun to write technical report. It's like 40 pages. It's probably not for everybody, but we realize that this is a pretty complicated topic. So we've got like a 1-pager on our website. We can put the link up there. We've also got a more digestible kind of, there you go. That's the 1-pager. And we've got a more digestible, like 10 to 12 page slide deck that sort of gets into the weeds. But
People can go online and
learn all they want. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for being on the show, Pat.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
People should be outraged.
I think so.
As an electricity consumer, are you outraged?
Yeah. I mean, I'm on community choice aggregation right now, and I'm paying less than basic service. But like through this research, it seems very apparent that I could probably be paying even less than what I'm already paying.
Yeah. So we're outraged, and there are good examples, other places of things that we could, incremental improvements here and there.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks so much.